ya mamu nyina kwa ba edeba Rockstar TVG. So me den de so fa kono ba kwabena osu afriye. Bo ma ni de hye ofie ne abankro na na Wontumi nka. Yagebre na ye de ensema hodo a yesa aka no. And so ebe so mosompa. Don't forget to subscribe and so our Rockstar TVG. Na all the news, entertainment, and sports I won say eka no. And as I wo hwehwe no won say and so ebetumi aka ewa ha. Na yanko aye the camp of NPP na enche ene ye de betu monim ewo Supreme Court ene there's a special prosecutor omonka bomu a womo aye se womo de papa ye friend chairman and tribusi ako ekwa akogina aye emrenu anim efa ninsem bia okeka ye ene ne dwumadie bia odi ya emra kire se aye kana sichi kwan so na wo fa de di ne dwuma no wo mra court na wono so emeyi no ho no na latest news a abetodwa e kire se government of Ghana ne Supreme Court mpanifo di animu na special prosecutor so eka ho bie no enso de eye tabono ato yura ye fe no Bernard Ntwibosi akon eso se wono atimi de akodada Exim Bank for 24 million Ghana cedis sika wono efa akoti kwan so eje ye ede free Exim Bank nsem ni nyina enkyeremu ni se wo pa kyere se yura chama Wontumi enso etimi efa ade bia krata bi edeko kire eye Exim Bank request sika bi fi wo mo a krata wo de ko kire wo mo no mpanifo kyese na eye invoice nanka qualify se wotimi deje sa sika twitwiridie no every Exim Bank na woji sa sika ne wie no ofa krata na wo de call internet cafe na omo yi invoice ne free so na wo mo eye no receipt receipt ni de ema no ho kwan manage sa sika no nanso ye kohwem na krata no ye invoice na enye receipt otimi de gina so ege sa sika no na okoji sika ni nyina akire no esanse na MPP abandada no ewo so na tumi no fakase ni gina won sunti no enam so ema one the then finance minister enso eye kanasichi kwan bi egina so ema ne Exim Bank sika na wo senka chama Wontumi etuade ma wo mo no wo mo enso antimi antua fast forward NDC aban no eba so no ana wo kohwen krata mu nso ahunu se sa eniema yura chama Wontumi eye no na eye kanasichi kwan bi a ofa so edada Exim Bank mpanifo eno nti wo ma frɛ no se womra na wono nso emankyeremu nye nti a ofa sa kwan no so na the 24 million Ghana cedis sika woje ye no womra mekyerem pankora nsa etimi kan so sika no se tabono no bono enkra yensa ka ekyeremu se obetimi akọ mfie aduasa enso ewo eye oman Ghana amamra 1992 constitution no so atimi ahyehye edeto ho no na te se defrauding the state by comprehense na te se ni nyina mu no obetimi adafiase by 30 years eno ene tabona they say chairman Wontumi was a AFC ewo Supreme Court yenko ni yenkotie ensem a ekoso ne bra yen sister station back and so the detailed analysis no and so etimi eba yenko video number.
Welcome back to The Pulse. A while ago, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, presented the report to President John Dramani Mahama at the Jubilee House. And if you're just tuning in, a few of the recommendations in that report is that they are recommending the 4-year term limit for a president to be moved to 5. And also, they are recommending that there's not going to be any third term for President John Dramani Mahama, among many other recommendations. Among other recommendations as well, they also want a short campaign period so that, according to them, the president of the day or the government of the day can focus on ruling the country. And, of course, we will talk about that. But in the meantime, I have in the studio the counsel for Chairman Wontumi, who has a word or two about this particular subject. But before we speak to you, Andy Piakubi, let's talk about this pressing issue, because Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayeni says the government will prosecute Wontumi Farms and its directors over alleged fraud, forgery, and a financial loss of more than 24 million cedis to the state. Addressing the government accountability series earlier today, Dr. Ayeni said investigations by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, uncovered evidence that the company and its CEO forged a receipt to mislead Exim Bank into believing loan conditions had been met.
the invoice he obtained from Kasama Enterprise by removing the word invoice and replacing it with receipt. This forged receipt was then submitted to Exim Bank as proof that he had purchased the equipment after the disbursement of the loan facility. The owner of Kasama Enterprise confirmed to investigators of the Economic and Organized Crime Office that the only document he issued to Wontumi Farms Limited through Chairman Wontumi was a pro forma invoice and not a receipt. He stated that after he issued the invoice, he never heard from Chairman Wontumi again, despite repeated follow-up calls. The forged receipt submitted to Exim Bank suggested that Kasama Enterprise acknowledged receipt of the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of earth-moving machines and farming equipment. The so-called receipt had on it, and ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is what gave him away, 50 days to supply and 1 year guarantee and service. Now, I hope you understand what this means. That when you receive a pro forma invoice, okay, pro forma means that you've taken it with the intention of purchasing. And so they will give you a timeline, okay, within which the supplier will supply you the equipment. And then also, if there are any guarantees, services or guarantee terms, they will be indicated on the pro forma invoice. But Chairman Wontumi, as I said, took out invoice and replaced it with receipt to, deceive Exim Bank that he had actually purchased the equipment. Investigations established that Chairman Wontumi did not purchase any equipment and as such could not register any equipment in the joint names of Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms Limited as per the loan conditions, even though funds were disbursed to him to that effect. That all the equipment he claimed he purchased could not be traced. Investigations established that though Chairman Wontumi submitted the forged receipt to Exim Bank, he stated during interrogation that he purchased second-hand brand new, whatever that means, second-hand brand new equipment, and that the receipts of all the purchases, including the documents on the equipment, were all sent to Exim Bank. However, Exim Bank has confirmed that neither Chairman Wontumi nor Wontumi Farms Limited submitted any documents covering the purchase of the required equipment except the forged receipts. In fact, when our investigators went to the ground, they realized that there were some obsolete, decrepit machines on the side, tractors dating back that were manufactured in the 1970s, and that were not functioning, were the ones that had been placed on the farm. So this was definitely a grand scheme designed to defraud Exim Bank. It is clear from our investigation that Chairman Wontumi and his company, Wontumi Farms Limited, made fraudulent misrepresentations to Exim Bank with a view to obtaining the loan facility, and in fact did obtain the loan facility. The equipment they represented were to be purchased were never procured. The farming enterprise never materialized, and so no young persons were employed in Asare Nkwanta in the Ashanti region.
So that's the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayini, a while ago at the Jubilee House during the government's accountability series. Let's come to the studio and engage Andy Apiakube. He's the former MP for Asante North and also lawyer for Bernard Entry-Buesiaku, probably known as Chairman Wontumi. Mr. Apiakube, grateful for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, my brother.
Before we dive into the legal troubles of your client, we watched the Constitutional Review Committee present their findings to President John Mahama a while ago. You have a few words to say about that. They proposed a 5-year term limit for presidents in this country instead of 4. They say that in the sub-region, that is the norm. Do you agree with that?
I do support that position. I think it is necessary that we give more room for governance, rather than just stepping out of one office into campaigning. So 5 years, fine. If it had been even 6 years, I would have even supported it, because I know how long it takes for government to stabilize and start governing. So the 5 years is fine, except that it must not come into effect during the pendency of this administration, because you don't change rules in the course of a game.
Okay.
So if it's made to take prospective effect from the next arrangement, the next governance,
right,
I'll be all for it. It's a very potent contribution and change.
Right.
So I support it.
Right. Andy Epiakubi is the former MP for Asante North for the MPP. He's also the counsel for the chairman of the MPP in the Ashanti region, Bernard Ntwibuesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. You're in support of the proposals that have been made, of course, and of course, if you're just tuning in, we have also been following this developing story about the Attorney General, Dominic Ayine, a while ago, who addressed the nation. He said that they're going to prosecute the chairman of the Ashanti region's New Patriotic Party, Bernard Ntwibuesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, and he said that the state has frozen Wontumi's assets, which include a 50 million Ghana cedis account belonging to his insurance company. And also, there have been a wide range of claims by the Attorney General. Of course, he says that he will prefer charges against the embattled Ashanti regional chairman of the MPP after Christmas, and that should be in the next few weeks. We have the lawyer for Chairman Wontumi in the studio, who is ready to speak to us on the wide range of accusations that have been leveled against his client. Andy, did you hear the charges, although the AG is yet to formally profile those charges? He says he will do that at a later date. Did you hear it for the first time, just like most of us did on TV?
Yes, I did. In this morning, watching the television, I heard the Attorney General pronounce a possible charge of fraud. And I don't know how he's going to even prove it. So I'm sure that we'll leave it to the Attorney General to come out with his charges, charge sheet, and the facts that support the charge. So I don't know. I just heard it today. And in fact, my client also called me and told me that he also heard it, the news that he's going to be charged with defrauding by false pretenses. So we will await the charge sheet and then we'll respond appropriately.
The amount is over 20 million Ghana cedis. I see that you were trying to get the amount.
Well, yes, first and foremost. In fact, earlier on we had heard in the news and the social media that Chairman Wontumi had borrowed amounts in dollars to the tune of $20 million, $30 million. All kinds of figures were being churned out. But it is interesting to note that now Chairman Wontumi did not contract any agreement with Exim Bank in dollar denomination. The amount of money contracted in the transaction is in cedis. And indeed, the total amount, if my information is right, is in the region of 18.7 million Ghana cedis, not in dollars as people wanted us to believe. So that is the beginning of the transaction and the beginning of the discussions on it. Again, there was a contract between Exim Bank and indeed Wontumi Farms.
Right.
And I mentioned Wontumi Farms because the parties in the contract were Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms. Suffice it to say that Attorney General also mentioned Chairman Wontumi as a director of the company. It is not as of preference that you attack a director of a company when the company itself is in existence, except that there are conditions to meet before you can even bring the directors in, which conditions we are waiting for the Attorney General's office to prove. Nevertheless, there is an existing company known as Wontumi Farms, and Wontumi Farms is in contract with Exim Bank Ghana Limited. And I want us to limit it to the transaction between the two entities, not to try to identify the parties behind the company and, designate them as associating themselves with political parties. That is very unnecessary. So I think that we should concentrate on the transaction between Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms.
Right. One of the many accusations that the AG made against your client is that he says that Chairman Wontumi forged a 4 million Ghana cedis invoice that he received from Kasama Enterprise, and he removed the word invoice and replaced it with receipt to make it seem like he had purchased something, and that 4 million Ghana cedis was the receipt to deceive Exim Bank.
I would rather try to reframe your question to mean Wontumi Farms submitted a receipt.
Yes.
It could have come from any official of Wontumi Farms, but I'm not too certain whether it was brought by Chairman Wontumi himself, but carried the inscription of Wontumi Farms making the deposit or submitting the receipt. But in all this, if the receipts were forged, were there not officials in Exim Bank to determine whether or not these receipts were wholesome? Was it the case that they were complicit to whatever allegations that are being brought out now? Is it the case that there is negligence on the part of the company Exim Bank to overlook all these things that Attorney General is alleging? Is it the case that all these things happened under the strict supervision of officials of Exim Bank? Is it the case that Exim Bank also procured a consultant to supervise the operation of this company in respect of this transaction? Is it the case that these consultants were properly procured and they had the necessary mandate to protect the interests of the bank? Is it the case that they reneged on such responsibilities? Is it the case that they themselves may have done that? Is it the case that the equipments were procured through the consultant procured by Exim Bank? Is it the case that there is a shared responsibility between the two parties and their associates to ensure compliance with the terms of the contract? Is it the case that all such conditions prevailed and were met? Is it the case that culpability lies with only one party and not the other? Is it the case that culpability may lie in the opposite party rather than the one being referred to at the moment? So these are all questions that are begging for answers.
Very, very interesting. There are so many case scenarios that you've mentioned, but you said that this morning you spoke to your client after the AG made those pronouncements at the Jubilee House, and you said that you cannot be certain that this invoice, also known as receipt, according to the AG, was from Wontumi himself or some employees from Wontumi Farms. When you spoke to him, didn't he tell you who it was from?
Look, either way, it was Wontumi Farms. Whoever may have come representing Wontumi Farms was doing whatever he would have done in the name of Wontumi Farms. So what I was trying to just bet your mind to is the fact that it is Wontumi Farms in this transaction, not any other personality.
Okay.
And when it is necessary to lift the veil and look at directors, we'll get to that point. But for now, the transaction is purely between Wontumi Farms and Exim Bank. And this was a civil transaction between the two parties, contractual in nature, and terms and responsibilities on both parties. So we need to weigh the responsibilities on both parties and the performance of both parties and see who carries more culpability than the other, or who carries all or none.
Another of the many accusations is that Wontumi Farms in 2017 submitted an application for a loan to cultivate maize on 100,000 acre of land and to purportedly, employ young people. But the AG says even at that time that loan was applied, the company was not even registered.
Oh, but it happens. Most times promoters can go into transactions when the companies have not been incorporated. We call those ones pre-incorporation contracts and or transactions. And these are confirmed by the companies upon incorporation. So it is not new. It happens all the time. So, and it doesn't bring any criminality when you go into transactions representing a supposed company to be incorporated in future. No, but there's no crime in this. It happens all the time. So even though I'm not privy to the time of the agreement and the time of incorporation, because it just happened today and I have not consulted my client to be abreast with all the documentation. But even if it happens like that, it doesn't mean that there is any criminality in it, because pre-incorporation contracts can go into promoters of companies can get into pre-incorporation transactions, and that is normal.
But what if that transaction goes through and the company is never incorporated?
Are you suggesting that Wontumi Farms was never incorporated?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm saying that...
I'm just asking a question.
Well, if it gets to a point that the company is never incorporated, then the promoters are liable for whatever transactions they were attending to. But in this particular instance, I am very positive that Wontumi Farms was subsequently, if at the time of contracting it had not been incorporated, subsequently it was incorporated. So I'm saying that, to my knowledge, there is an entity called Wontumi Farms.
Right. Andy Apiakuvi, I'll come back to you shortly, but let me bring in your learned colleague, Kweku Ansah-Sarri, who's the former director at the Ghana School of Law. Glad you could join me this afternoon. The AG...
But let me set it right. He is not my colleague, he's my director. He is so many years my senior.
Okay.
I cannot be his colleague. The director, former director of the law school.
Oh, okay.
He cannot be.
I mean, I mentioned colleague in the fact that both of you are lawyers.
In the profession, but he's still
your senior.
So many years.
Right. Mr. Ansah-Sarri, glad you could join me this afternoon. Of course, you also had the Attorney General earlier today make several pronouncements, and Wontumi was not the only person that he mentioned. He also mentioned Kofi Akpalu of the LPG as well. There have been concerns about the Attorney General publicly coming out to, proffer charges against people, individuals who he believes have engaged in corruption and corruption-related offenses, even before officially or formally charging them. Does that surprise you? And does what he did today surprise you as well?
Good afternoon. Yes, it did surprise me because you remember when he was appointed, you interviewed me as to whether you'd be able to execute his functions efficiently and effectively. And I said yes. But I also added, I hasten to add, that he should not politicize the Attorney General's office. Because the Attorney General's office is one office that is for the people of Ghana. And therefore, whoever is the Attorney General must be circumspect and measured, in its utterances. Must come clean out of, a political structure and hold himself out as the Attorney General. This display of, legal, political, media trial is not going to help my good friend Dominic Ayine. I think that today, this press conference of today must be the last of any such, press briefings to announce publicly who are in some criminal infractions and therefore deserving of prosecution. If he has a fact and he has an arguable case, he must go to court, because an arguable case is a case, that is capable of being sustained in the court. This prima facie thing must come to, at home. The media will not be dragged, if the court of public opinion doesn't exist, for the type of, crimes he's announcing. If he's ready, let him go to court. If he's not ready, he should shut up. That is all.
But Mr. Nsasari, he says that he's the people's attorney general. He's serving at the pleasure of the president, obviously, but the president was also elected by Ghanaians. So he deems it fit that whatever case that he's pursuing, he has to let the people know. Yes, it might be novel, but don't you think it's something that we should come to accept?
No. As I said, the Attorney General's chamber, exists for the Republic of Ghana. And whoever is Attorney General must be discerning, to know what is good for the people of Ghana and what is not good for the. I will urge my good friend, Dr. Dominic Ayini, Attorney General, to go through, his law, the handing over of previous Attorney General. And you see that each time an Attorney General is leaving office, especially the NYP at that day, to hand it over no. Refresh his text and then ask, for a handcard when that was being said, what said, and the pledge he made the Republic of Ghana that as Attorney General